Once you have your document set up, it's the right size and it's at 300 resolution, and you have one layer of normal lines and one layer of multiplied lines, you are ready to add color. And the way we're going to do that is by making selections of these big shapes. So you can see this is a shape and this is a shape, this is a shape, and you're going to make those selections using the different selection tools, and then you're going to use the paint bucket tool to fill them in. Now we want to make sure that we're adding color on different layers than the lines. We don't want to paint directly on the lines. So what we're going to do is add a new layer by hitting this icon. And then you can use the selection tools. The lasso tool is good for free forming, but I would recommend not using it unless you have a tablet. If you have a tablet and you're doing this with a Wacom pen or any kind of pen, then go for it. But if you're using your finger on a mouse, trackpad, or anything like that, better to use either the polygon tool or one of the quicker tools, which I'll get to next. What I'm doing is just drawing using my finger to make the selection on the lines, and I want to show you what this looks like without the layer 0 copy, so I just hit the eyeball to turn it off. You can't really tell because it was on top of an identical image. And what's great about these black lines, I'll show you in a second, I'm choosing a color. Let's say I'm going to make my color purple. And it's good to have your color selected before chosen before you actually get to here. So I just filled this in, and now I'm going to hit, because I've made a selection, you can tell that there's a selection here because of these marching ants. Now if I hit Command or Control D, which deselects, then we have this shape right here. You can move it around, although you don't really need to. And now I can turn on layer 0 copy, and that will get the lines back without the white, which is great because it covers the mess that we've made. I didn't really make such a close selection because that would have been really hard. Instead, I'm relying on the black line to cover it. So I just did that, and now we can make a new layer for every color we use. I think that will be helpful. And what you're going to do is use the selection tools. You're going to just select and then fill, select and then fill. The polygon lasso tool is good, but it might get a little tedious. Another option is using the quick selection tool. The shortcut for that is the letter W. And we can just make a new selection. And we want to be able to sample all layers, so make sure that sample all layers is checked. And then we can just click down, and just by doing that, it selected this entire teapot. Although notice that because of this space, what it's doing is it's selecting what it thinks is the whole shape. This is a pretty narrow space, so it doesn't realize that this part is a part of the shape. We can add to that selection by holding down Shift, and then it just added to it. So unlike what we just had here where I selected on the black lines, this selects up to the black line, which saved us a lot of time, but will end up giving us like a white halo around the selection. The way that you fix this is by going to Select, Modify, and then Expand. And depending on how thick the black lines are is how many pixels you can expand it. I'm going to expand this 3 pixels. Now you can see that it's been expanded onto the black line. Just to give you an idea of the pixel size, these are the pixels, right? Each square is a pixel. So it used to be over here, but now it's gone 1, 2, 3. It's pretty subtle, but it's noticeable if you don't do it. Now I'm going to fill this in with this blue color. I'm going to hit G to get paint bucket, and then I just filled it in. Deselect. Pretty simple and straightforward. So when you go through your selecting, you're either using the polygon lasso to make the shape, or you would use the quick selection tool and then select, modify, expand, and then you fill in whatever shape. You can also try using the magic wand tool. I don't know how, that sometimes this doesn't really work. See, right now what it did was it selected what I've just done, which isn't what I want. I'm gonna hit deselect. We can go on another layer and see it selected the entire artboard. Oh, you know why? Because sample all layers isn't checked. So I just deselected. We want sample all layers to be checked. That means that it can select things from all the layers, even if we're painting on layer 3. And now, there we go. So the quick selection tool and the magic wand work pretty similarly. It'll just depend on what you're doing, which will determine what you want. And then you can just go to select, modify, expand. I'm still going to expand 3, and let's make this green. And I'm going to hit G to get my paint bucket, and then deselect. I want you to notice that there's this that the quick selection tool didn't get this part, which isn't good. So we can just use the regular paintbrush tool. I'm going to select my blue color, and 73 is way too big. I'm going to make it smaller. And now if I go to layer 2 where I have my blue, I can just paint in, except that I'm at 56%, so I want to be at 100%. And then we'll paint it in, and it's filled right in. Okay, I'm going to just do this cookie shape just to get one more example in. So I'm using the magic wand tool to just click down. I'm going to make this, I'm going to make this purple. Well, no, I'm going to make it green. You can have a mint chip cookie. And I'm going to hold it down. Except I'm hitting undo, Command or Control V, because I want to keep all the green on the same layer. And then I can click it down and then deselect. Great. And that's how you flat your image. You just go select, fill in, select, fill in. If you have any questions, please let me know.